Hello, everybody, and welcome to this session of Get Digital. My name is Mark Cummins. I'm a professor of finance here at DCU, and I'm delighted to be your MC for this session. Throughout this week in Get Digital, we will be exploring a range of topics related to business, leadership, and entrepreneurship, with a particular focus on how businesses at all stages and of all sizes can harness transformational digital technologies to achieve their business goals. Turning to this session now, I'm very pleased to introduce our speaker, Frederik Imbo, actor, producer, and motivational speaker, who will be talking about how not to take things personally. To our audience, we'd love to receive your questions, so please submit them during the session using the Q&A function, which you'll find at the bottom of your screen. Again, just be aware that the chat function is disabled, so again, please only use the Q&A option. We'll then compile the questions, and I'll ask Frederik to address as many as he can in the time that we have available after he finishes his talk. So again, looking forward to questions. And again, just to bear in mind, again, it's the Q&A function rather than the chat that you need to use. So with no further delay, I'll hand you over to Frederik to begin his talk. Thanks, Frederik.
Thank you so much, Mark. Can you hear me just to check the sound?
Can hear you perfectly.
Very good. It's a bit weird to talk to a screen, knowing that now 26 people at this moment are popping in. So please install yourselves there in Ireland. I'm doing this talk from Belgium. It's sunny out here, so I really hope there is a nice weather as well in Ireland. And I really hope that the next small hour we will spend together will be learnful, insightful, and inspirational. I would like to share you a story, my personal story, because 3 years ago, I decided to become a football referee. Voila. Not because of the money, though. I only get paid 20 euros per match, so I won't really get rich by it, will I? No, I decided to become a football referee for two other reasons. One, to stay in good shape, and two, because I wanted to learn how not to take things personally. I can imagine that you're thinking right now, well, being a referee is the perfect environment to learn how not to take things personally, isn't it? Because the spectators hardly ever shout encouraging or positive things. No, what do they shout? You are a blind, you are a loser, you are stupid. As a referee, I'm the scapegoat. Apparently, I am always wrong. It's always my fault. And I wanted to learn how not to take all this personally. Because I really struggle with this. For example, when I drive slowly because I'm finding a specific location and somebody is driving just behind me, I feel hunted, especially when they start honking and flashing their headlights. I take it personally. I know I shouldn't, but it just happens. Do you see what I mean? Or when somebody cancels last minute an appointment, I get the feeling that I am not important enough. Again, I tend to take it personally. Even professionally, I'm a public speaker. Like today, this morning, this is what I do. I give keynote speeches online or live, and I really like it as long as I can draw my audience into my story. Because the very moment their cameras are on and I see that somebody is not paying attention or somebody just stands up and walks away or takes his smartphone, it just happens. I take it personally. Relax. I don't see you. You can do whatever you want. You can stand up, grab a coffee, a good tea, or even start talking to your partner who is also at home today. Today, I will not take it personally. And why not? Because today, here and now, I'm really very conscious that this can happen, that there can things happen that I can take personally. And more important, I have a strategy to deal with that. And today, I would like to share the strategy with you. I really hope that you are interested, because I really guess that I'm not the only person here today who sometimes takes things personally. Imagine you invite a friend to go for a walk. Okay, we cannot go to a restaurant or to a theater, so we can just walk. You invite her. Hey, are you in for a walk today with me? And she says, "Oh no, I can't do it. I really have to work." But you see a picture of her having a walk with some other friends that very night. Or imagine that you really have worked very hard on a project. You're really very proud of the end result, but the only thing you get is criticism. So you come home and you would like to share, you would like to wind down, share this dreadful experience. But while you are sharing your story, the other one just walks away to switch on the TV. Would you take one of these situations personally? I guess so. And now the question is, why? Why do we take things personally? Somebody says or does something and bam, we feel offended, neglected, betrayed by the other one. That's what we believe. It's the other person's fault. He is responsible for what we feel. He's the one to blame. Now, hang on. Who says that? Which part of us is speaking? It's our ego. Our ego thinks that others should take us into consideration. Our ego does not want to be criticized. No, hell no. Our ego wants to be acknowledged. I'm right. Is this what you want? Do you want to be right? Because it can feel nice, but at the same time, it is exhausting. When my ego takes over, I'm fighting all day. I'm in a constant fight with the rest of the world, and it drains my energy. Wouldn't it be so much easier to not take things personally? Because then no one has power over you. You are free again. You experience more harmony and connection between you and other people. Of course, because your energy can go towards nice things instead of battling against the things that drive you crazy. So the question is, do you want to be right, or do you want to be happy? Yeah, I know what some of you are thinking. I will make sure I will be happy by being right. Well, how do you do this? How to become happy by not taking things personally? You are standing at the kickoff of the match of your life, the match by which you will learn how to stop taking things personally. So as a referee, I brought my coin for the toss. You can see it here. And every coin has two sides, heads or tails. And they stand for two strategies to no longer take things personally. Okay, Mark, are you still with me? Are you still with me, Mark?
I am indeed, yes.
Okay, I can't see you, but you are the captain of this huge team, Mark.
Right.
Yeah? Well, the team has already 36 players. You are the captain of this team. You can choose heads or tails.
Tails.
Tails. Let's find out. Is it heads or tails, like you said? Oh, you're unlucky. It's heads. Okay. The head side then. Here comes the first strategy. It is not about me. Huh? It's not about, what do you mean it's not about me? This sounds weird, doesn't it? Because when I take things personally, I'm convinced that it is about me. When I see somebody's looking on his smartphone while I'm explaining something, I think I've put so much effort in my presentation. I want respect. I think me, myself, and I. Maybe it sounds familiar. But in fact, it is not about me. What if I try to look at it from the other person's perspective, asking myself, why? Why is he looking on his smartphone? Maybe he has just received an important message, one he has been waiting for. Could be. Or the topic of my presentation is just not really his cup of tea. Could be. Or on the contrary, he really finds it very interesting and he wants to take notes on his smartphone. Very smart to do that, by the way. I simply need to shift my focus from me to we, and I won't take it personally. If I try to see the intention of the other one, I make space for understanding instead of irritation. I hope this rings a bell with you. When you put your son to bed and he doesn't want to, he throws and slams on the floor, kicking and screaming, "I hate you." Do you take that personally? No. No, you don't. Why not? Because you know this is not about me. It's about what he wants, what he needs. He's angry because he just wants to stay up a bit longer. So the first strategy to no longer take it personally is, it is not about me. Look at the other person's intention. When a driver is still gating and flashing his headlights, he does it probably because he's in a hurry. It's not about me. You see, it is as simple as that. In theory. Because in real life, it turns out to be a hell of a job. Do you have any idea how many thoughts our brain produces a day? I tell you, 50,000. And guess how many of them, of those 50,000 thoughts, are positive? Only 10,000. So this means that 80% of what we think are negative thoughts. That's a lot, isn't it? When you see two colleagues talking to each other and just then they look at you and they start laughing, do you think, oh yeah, they will have noticed my new jumper and they want them too? No, that's not what you think. You think, oh darn, they are laughing at me. They're gossiping about me. It takes a lot of effort then to correct yourself and to say, hang on, I have no clue. They might be laughing about something that has nothing to do with me. So seeing the positive intention of the other requires a lot of discipline and training. And that's why I became a referee, to train my brain not to take things personally. I train my brain an hour and a half a week, the entire period of a match. Now, before the match, I'm warming up. Not only physically, but also mentally. I give myself some small pep talk in the dressing room. Frederik, watch out. Lots of things will trigger you during the game. You're going to make decisions some will not agree with, and they will shout unpleasant things at you. So I tell myself, Frederik, please don't take it personally. It's not about me. They just want to be right. They simply want their team to win. You see, people from IIDB, DCU Business School, if I focus on the intention of the other person, then there is no more need to take it personally. When I apply this strategy, okay, I admit it very consciously, I feel much more at ease on the pitch. When the coach, the players, or the spectators do not agree with my decisions, it happens, then I'm less easily thrown off balance. This strategy works. But not always, unfortunately, because some words they shout at me, like this trainer here, really sometimes do hit a raw nerve. You're a loser, sometimes the trainer says, or the audience says, oh, find another hobby and go fishing. Ouch. Maybe they are right. Because perhaps I took the wrong decision as a referee. Maybe I am somehow a loser. That's sometimes how I feel, and maybe you recognize this. You see what I mean? Every coin has a flip side. So this means when the first strategy is not working, it means it is about me. I have to look in the mirror and question myself. Asking myself, hey, come on, Frederik, what's going on? As a beginning referee, I still feel insecure because I personally never played soccer myself. It is about me because it has something to do with my own insecurity. I doubt sometimes about myself. Or there is a part of myself that I haven't come to terms with. Do you see my points, dear people of IIDB and DCU Business School? Even if I know that the driver is only tailgating because he's in a hurry, I still take his honking and flashing his headlights personally. And so I must question myself. Probably I was driving too slowly. I'm aware of that. I just don't like that clumsy part of myself. Why else would I take it personally? Mark, are you there with me?
I am indeed, yeah.
Can I ask you something? I want to challenge you. So we are here at the topic. It is about me. If I tell you, Mark, you are an orange. You are an orange, Mark.
Okay.
Would you take this personally?
No.
No. Why not, Mark?
Well, because I'm obviously not an orange. So, and it's, you mean the fruit, obviously.
Of course. Of course. There's nothing in you that believes that you are, in fact, an orange. An orange. Unless maybe because you have a reddish face or you're ginger like I am, which is not so rare in Ireland. I was born in the wrong country. Huh?
Exactly.
But if for example, somebody else tells me, Frederik, you are selfish, then I do take it personally. And why does it happen? Because there must be some truth in it. If I'm honest, it's about me because I'm aware of the fact that I do not always take into account other people's needs. When you are being criticized and it hurts, chances are big that this is rooted in your childhood. Maybe as a child you were never good enough. Huh? When you came home with a 9 out of 10 mark, maybe they said, oh, why not a 10? You see what I mean? You can only take things personally if it somehow touches a raw nerve. And that's the moment to give yourself some empathy. Ow, really, this hurts. Whew, darn, I'm longing so hard for recognition. And I feel sad when I don't get it. You see? And you can also speak up. Tell the other person what is going on inside you. Hey, I'm in the middle of my story here, and you walk away to switch on the TV. It feels like you don't care about my story. By opening up, by being vulnerable, by telling the other person what you feel without blaming the other person, you increase the likelihood that the other person will also understand you and take your needs into account. Do you see what I mean? So, to conclude, how not to take things personally? 1, it is not about me. Look at the other person's intention. If that doesn't work, 2, it is about me. Give yourself empathy and speak up. Dear people from IIDB, DCU Business School, please don't take it personally, but I really hope that you will take a couple of things personally the next coming days. Only if you do, you can test out these 2 strategies. Or you also could say to yourself that we can all put this in practice. Imagine, wouldn't that enhance our relationships enormously? Together, we could create a better world where we do not only do business with one another and talk about digital innovation, but also could connect with one another without feeling harmed and taking things personally. And as a referee, I even earn some money by it. Mark and Molly, I don't know, would you also like 20 euros to learn how not to take things personally? Molly?
I would, yeah.
Would you like that? Okay, Mark as well?
Oh, yeah, yeah. I'll take 20 euros.
Okay. Would you still want the 20 euros now? Molly, Mark?
I guess so, yeah. I probably would, yeah.
Mark? Oh, yeah, definitely.
Will you still want the 20 euros now?
Not particularly me, no.
Molly, you would like them?
I'll pass, thanks.
You pass. Mark, do you still want them?
Do you know, I think I'm okay too.
Okay. Maybe there are others who still want the 20 euros. Okay, if they say I still want the 20 euros, then like this. Who still wants the 20 euros now? And then the question could be, if you answer yes, why would you still want the 20 euros? And your answer could be, well, it's still 20 euros, isn't it?
Yeah.
So people may attack you, criticize you, or ignore you. They can crumple you up with their words, spit you out, or walk all over you. But remember, whatever they say or do, you will always keep your value. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Thanks, Frederik. That's a brilliant message to end on. Very, very clever.
You're welcome, and thank you for your attention.
Brilliant, brilliant. So listen, thanks for your presentation, Frederik. Again, really, really interesting. I think it gives people a lot of food for thought, because this is, I think, a problem that everybody faces in their life. You will always face these situations, and they're hard to deal with. So listen, I will open it up to questions. I'm just looking. There's no questions through just yet.
Okay.
But
Let's not take it personally that there are no questions.
But well, we have a comment actually, by the way, not a question, but a brilliant video, and definitely I think I and many others would reiterate that sentiment. So again, brilliant presentation.
Mm-hmm.
I suppose just as you were talking, you know, you talked there about it's not me and it is me, and it kind of depends a little bit on the situation. How do you read it though to maybe balance that and get to that conclusion? Because when it, you know, I suppose certainly when it's not me, I think that's an easier one to maybe handle, because you can say, okay, there's something else with that person. When you have to admit that maybe there is an element of truth to maybe some criticisms, you know, how do you make that judgment call? I guess it depends on the situation, but
yeah, if something happens and you tend to feel it personally, again, when do you know that you take it personally? It's when you are convinced that what you feel is caused by the other person and the other person is responsible for it. So I'm not talking about sadness or it could be sadness. If you are sad and you believe the other person is responsible for my sadness, it's because what he did or didn't do, then I tend to take it personally. Okay, take it personally. First of all, why did the other person say what he said? Okay, out of which unfulfilled need did the other person that? Maybe he just wanted to make himself bigger by making myself smaller, by ignoring me, offending me, not paying attention, not giving go ahead for a project. Okay, so he wanted to be seen. Maybe his ego was there. Okay, yeah, okay, now I can see it. If you feel less emotional at that moment and you feel kind of more balanced again and more inner peace, then we could say, job done. If, however, you still struggle, like, yeah, but, or my first emotion is anger, but maybe others' emotion first is fear or sadness, you still feel sad and you can't, you know it mentally that he did something out of his need and still you are struggling with it, then it's indeed the second strategy. It has something to do with you. And it can be like a recurring situation in your life where always you had the experience that people were treating you in the way you are treated now. And you think, okay, again, this happens. So it's a raw nerve, it's a weak spot. And then acknowledge yourself by, okay, saying, okay, the other one did not know that this was my weak spot, but okay, it hit it, however, my raw nerve. So it tells something about me. And so I think it's a signal, it's an expression of emotional adults being adults, by saying then, no, I will not project my anger, my frustration on the other person. I look at myself. I'm in trouble. I feel something. It's my pain. I own my pain. And therefore, then you give yourself empathy. So in a in a more, you see, I'm a very extroverted talker. To conclude again, first test the first strategy. It's not about me. If that doesn't work, try to give your empathy and tell yourself, okay, apparently it is a weak spot in myself.
Yeah, very good. And you'd find, yeah, the
Yeah.
truth if you balance those two. Listen, there are questions coming through now. There's a good few questions, so
Great.
we'll kind of work through them as they've come in. So there's a question in here about if you have any recommendations for holding your stature in order to prevent criticisms. And I guess preventing criticism is a very difficult thing to do, but would there be any tips or recommendations you would have?
So can you repeat the question, because the sound was not really perfect?
Yeah,
Again, what the question,
any
please?
recommendations for holding your stature in order to prevent criticisms?
Yeah. I will answer by a quote, if that's okay. All the water in the sea can't sink a ship. Unless, of course, the ship takes in water. So all the criticism of all other people can't touch you if you don't let it. So it's to prepare yourself and to know that you are responsible for meeting your own needs, even the need for recognition, to be valued, to be taken into account. It's nicer if people don't criticize you, but if you criticize yourself, of course, then that will be the reason that it hurts when other people criticize you. If everyone now, while I'm telling this, thinks about one core quality about himself, one quality that you're really very proud of. For example, in my case, I would say I am a very honest person. I really want to live in a very honest way. And I'm really okay with myself, and I really totally accept that part of myself. So if somebody criticizes me on not being honest, it will never hurt me, because I'm so robust, I'm so strong, I'm so confident and so in harmony with the fact that I am honest myself, that whatever they say, it will never come in. So the water will never come into my ship. So it's to know for yourself what are your weak spots and to check where is the work you have to do for yourself. It's a very big cliche, Mark, but how many times have we already heard that first you need to love yourself, you need to appreciate yourself, you have to come into terms with yourself. The more you do that, the lesser the criticism will hurt you. So how can you prepare yourself if you know that there is a colleague that is in your allergy zone and he will criticize you for something specifically? Is to give beforehand yourself empathy and to tell yourself, okay, it will hurt. I will not take it personally, and I will know that that person will maybe hit a raw nerve, and I will give myself empathy because I know there is some truth in what he's saying. And that's okay. I'm not perfect. I should not be perfect either. I do my best. I do my very best. So maybe that's another tip. We have to stop being perfectionists. I ask a question to all of you, even when I don't see you. Who thinks I'm a perfectionist? Everyone who recognizes this in himself, well, is born now to be unhappy. But because you will never be perfect. So I try to stop to be perfect. And I refocus on myself to be impeccable, which is not the same. I said sin because I was thinking about the etymological explanation. Being impeccable means actually being without a sin, where a perfectionist asks and actually demands himself, expects himself to be perfect and to make no mistake at all. The one who is impeccable says to himself, okay, I'm not perfect, that's okay. I just will do my best, the best that I can do within my qualities, within my possibilities, and also within my limitations.
Very good, very good. Again, insights there, Frederik. Another question has come through, which I think is a really interesting one. So it's asked around tips for taking things personally at work, and I think the work situation is interesting because, you know, with the various scenarios you kind of outlined, you know, some of them have different stakes. You know what I mean? And probably when people look at their career and their work situation, the stakes are high. You know, you're looking at your salary, your quality of life, the pride that people put into their work. So stakes can be very, very high. So maybe using your sea analogy, you know, sometimes the seas are calm, sometimes they're rough. You know what I mean? And like people at work probably read rough seas a lot.
Mhm.
So would there be any difference in terms of your approach for, again, trying not to take things personally at a work situation when stakes are high?
Honestly, my first reaction is not really. The situation is different. Because to your partner, you can say, hey, I maybe to your partner, you want to be more, or you allow yourself, or you dare to be more vulnerable to your partner to say, hey, I take it personally when you switch on the TV. It's maybe harder at work because in business, in some businesses, it's very inside colors, reddish and bluish. So very rational, goal oriented, making career. Maybe then the need to be vulnerable is less important for you at that moment than the need for, okay, harmony and peace, to not go into confrontation and to just swallow it in and to do the work yourself. For me, we have all kinds of needs. So the need for connection and honesty, but at the same time, the need for peace, because I don't want to tell my boss, hey, I took it personally because I know he will react in a wrong way. Or I don't want to speak up to a person who was not honest to me. I don't want to confront that person because I need that peace and harmony. The security, the safety that I have is more important maybe than the connection need I have. Then I would I would not say anything and just keep it for myself, and then maybe wind down to a friend or a colleague who's open to listen to me. Because
Very,
that's the magic trick about needs. If my need is not fulfilled and I need empathy, I can all give it to myself or ask it from someone else. And it does not have to be necessarily the person who is involved in that situation.
very nice. Yeah, and actually, very good segue into the next question that came through, which is about, you know, people find being vulnerable a scary thing. So, you know, have you any tips in terms of how you might better open yourself up to others, which is which is a difficult thing to do, and again, particularly in a work situation.
Yeah. It's interesting. It's a very interesting question. And it's interesting to check why actually are we afraid? Why are we afraid to be vulnerable? Because I think, okay, difficult explanation, but let me try, however.
Yeah.
Difficult explanation, it is we are afraid to be vulnerable because I think that we believe that if we will be vulnerable, people will walk all over us. And it's because we say, come on, leave me alone. Don't be so selfish. You're really selfish, taking your phone and not listening to me. This is really arrogant. You are really lacking respect. This is like more a brave way to come up for yourself because you show that you're a strong person. And we fear, there is a fear in us that believes if we will say, if you switch on the TV, if you don't listen to me, I feel sad because I really long so hard to be understood and to be taken into account. I put all my work and energy in this. Could you please give me the respect I'm longing for? Our brain, our ego thinks, no, the other one will laugh with me. And I'm a very rational guy. I'm really very in business, and I really love to make career, and I need efficiency and results. And I tested out myself. If I open up against my fear and speak up what is alive in me, in 90% of the cases, it has a positive result. Let me give you a very concrete example. One of the classes that I've been giving for, let's say, 15 years is the class, the 2 days training of how to speak enthusiastically in front of a group. And there's a segment in that training that goes about how to deal with difficult situations, how to deal with hecklers. And for example, a heckler is interrupting you all the time, criticizing you. If you then try to manage it in a very professional, business-oriented way, like, okay, interesting question mark you have there. Maybe we can park it there. The other one, the heckler does not feel what you mean. So it's only when you, for me, are vulnerable at that moment, when it touches you to a certain extent, that you say, Mark, can I be honest? I really see that you really want to involve in my presentation and you have so many questions. At the same time, I feel a bit nervous and I'm a bit reluctant to answer all your questions because I'm a bit concerned for the time. I still have 20 slides to present. And is that okay that you keep your questions for yourself? Can I ask you this? And can you come to me afterwards with your question? Is that okay for you?
Yeah.
So these for the good listeners, they have discovered actually or heard the 4 steps of the model of connective communication. First, I explain what I see, what triggers me. Secondly, I explain what I feel by it. I feel sad or nervous, and that is also because I have a specific need that has not been fulfilled. So the feeling is a signal of an unfulfilled need. I need to be sure that I will keep my time. And so 4, I do a request. Is it okay for you to do this, this, or this? And then you can do the request as well to the other person, like, how is this for you when I tell you this? So this is my experience.
Yeah, very good. And actually, there's lots of questions coming through. So again,
Okay, so I will answer them quicker.
We'll try and get through as many as we can, but
Okay.
lots of this, because I think this is so, this is a real problem for everybody. As I said, it's a real phenomenon that everybody meets in their daily lives. But I might maybe blend 2 questions here to some extent. So one person has asked about, the person who does the criticizing. Is that not more a reflection of themselves than you? You know what I mean? And how valid is it to maybe say that? And another question that might be somewhat related, because you could reflect that on this as well, is what about scenarios where it's not just an individual, a single individual? Maybe it's a group of people who are criticizing and attacking. Now you could ask about how does that reflect on the group as well there. But yeah, so what's your view in terms of the person who's criticizing or the group that's criticizing, and then the scenario where you have to try and deal with a group dynamic? How do you deal with that?
For the group, I hope that I answered already this question by showing,
Yeah.
for example, to a group, hey, this is what is happening. I state what's happening. I state the trigger. I take full responsibility for my own feeling. I state my need, and I state what I would like them to do. And the last one is a very important one. Is it okay for you to also mention something that is positive of my approach instead of negative? Because if you tell people, are you willing to be a bit more positive? It's not doable, because how can I try to be more positive? It's not clear. Can I ask you also to mention something positive? Is a more clear request. Now, if I understand correctly, why are people criticizing us? Again, because they try to fulfill a need. They only try to fulfill it in a less connective way. And I got a training in the US by Marshall Rosenberg, and he expresses it as criticism is a tragic expression of unmet needs. And so it makes me think of what my preferred philosopher, the British philosopher Alain de Botton, says about people who criticize us. He says criticism are people who are showing themselves in a hateful manner, in a negative manner, are in pain themselves. They struggle with themselves. They don't want to look at their pain themselves. No, they project their pain to others, translated into criticism. And so if you see that the other one is hurted, and actually he just projecting his pain on you, maybe it's less easy then to also just accept the criticism. It's like accepting the toddler that is who's throwing himself on the floor, kicking and screaming, I don't want to go to bed. You don't take it personally either. Yeah. So my answer would be, again, try as much as you can to see the intention behind, and even name it, huh? Because the slide said to try to look at the other person's attention, but you can also respond by giving empathy. You can say, I see that you really did not like my proposal. Did I really disappoint you there? And so you invite the other person to take a bit more responsibility of his own needs. and to express it in a less harming way than by criticizing you.
Very good, excellent. And yeah, and I think there's probably an awful lot of truth in that. I suppose it also means that maybe us as individuals need to think more about how we criticize other people or speak to other people. You know, there's a bit of self-reflection there. Another question that's come through is, do you have any thoughts on how best immediate steps do you have any thoughts on best immediate steps not to have an immediate reaction that changes the potential hostile situation to
Oh, I'm so happy with this question because we haven't talked about this today.
Yeah.
I love this question because I really hope that it will give you some insights.
Yeah.
The direct emotional response is almost uncontrollable, because what happens if someone criticizes you, you are in your, I hope I pronounce it correctly in English, in your amygdala. Amygdala is a part in your brain. It has this form. It's like the nut of an avocado, and it is a small part of our brain. It's our reptile brain. And if someone does something, we immediately feel hurt and attacked in our amygdala. And there are only 3 reactions. Let me go interaction with you, Mark, because you know them for sure. You can, I will play them for you. You will do this, or what, or Jesus. What did I play? What are the 3 reactions, the primary reactions?
Well, a bit of kind of shock.
I freeze. It's like I become numb. I don't feel anything in a way to protect myself. Some people, even in early times, they pretended to be dead to prevent more damage. Second one, I fight.
You attack, yeah.
I attack. And so we have the freeze, the fight, and the flight.
Flight,
freeze,
yeah.
The fight, flight, freeze modus. We call it like this. And so in your amygdala, in those 3 reactions, you have no possibility at all. It's just neurotical, impossible to reflect upon yourself. It's impossible. So the only thing, and that was a question, what is a technique, a strategy to do that, is just programming yourself right now, because you're not in your amygdala, programming yourself right now, deciding right now that if the next time, when you will be again in your amygdala, that you will take time and that you will at least count to 10. Most of the times, count much longer. And of course, you can prepare some sentences. Mark, sorry, but I really will not say anything. I will not react because it's difficult to react. And I'm afraid that I will say things that will not be very connective. Or if it happens via mail, don't reply the mail immediately. Ask the other person. I just need a moment for myself. I really apologize, but I will come to it. I come back to it. In order that the signals, the impulses that were in the amygdala now can transfer to what we call the prefrontal neocortex, which is here in the brain. And that's the place in our brain where we are as humans capable of reflecting upon ourselves. As long as we are in the amygdala, we are not capable of reflecting upon ourselves. It's only when we are, when those impulses of the amygdala has calmed down a bit, then we can say, okay, why did the other one now say what he said? And to be honest, all the tips that I gave in the TED Talk are only valuable and accessible if you are no longer in your amygdala and in your prefrontal neocortex. So the strategy must be win time. Try to win some time. And to do something else, go. I really sometimes literally need to do something completely else. I have to go for a run. If the impulses I got, if I froze because something happened. I was in a kind of shock. I need to do something else. I need to refocus. And sometimes it does not take 10 seconds. Sometimes it takes a day to be calm again. And the test is, can I reflect upon myself? No? Okay. I'm apparently still in my amygdala.
Very good. That's a really good advice about taking that time to not react immediately. Another question that's come through, which again I think is very pertinent here because it kind of deals with an age group. So how would you help teenagers or young adults to learn how not to take things personally? Really, when we think about extreme scenarios when perhaps they're being bullied or they just have natural low esteem, and that's a really difficult scenario because obviously it's a different age group, you know, maybe less mature, you know, low self-esteem potentially. Yeah, how do you deal with that? And again, is the strategy slightly different there?
Yeah. Which need did you have this morning between you woke up, Mark, and right now?
How do you mean?
Which need did you have? You had many needs, but tell me one need you had. Did you had a need for learning? Did you had a need for recognition, for information?
Well, I guess information, you know, again.
Are you able as an adult to fulfill the need for information yourself and to open your computer and to say, okay, I need information, I will open my computer and I will follow the course of Frederik?
Yeah.
Okay, you're an adult.
Yeah.
So an adult is able to fulfill his own needs.
Yeah.
When you were born, were you able to need your own needs for security, safety, and information?
Yeah, no.
So the younger you are, the more the educators, the parents need to help to fulfill the needs of the babies, the toddlers, and then they grow up and they become youngsters and teenagers. And teenagers are really in the middle of finding their boundaries for themselves. They change their looks sometimes. And so they're very vulnerable because they are maybe for the first time learning to own and to fulfill their own needs. And this is also what they want. They say, I have a need for autonomy, leave me alone. But the way they scream at you, they need autonomy, is exactly the signal that shows that they are not really very far in the progress of taking responsibility for that need. So to answer the question, how can we learn teenagers this? Well, actually, the work should already have been done. You should have educated your teenager by loving him as much as possible without, of course, giving him too much love, and to tell him, I really appreciate you and I like you, and not link it to what the other person has done. Now I'm proud of you because you have good results. No. I love you and I'm proud of you and you're a wonderful person and I like you so much talking to you, and it's nice to see that you're evolving, you're growing up, and okay, you make mistakes, that's okay. If you help them to see that they are good without first having to do something for it, so without needing to meet your expectations, then you learn them to truly come up for themselves, because the more confident they are, the more they can radiate the confidence. And so the lesser they will be having raw nerves and they will be a victim of bullying. And if it happens that someone is bullying, because, okay, we are sometimes ships that take in water, tell me, honey, what exactly hurts you so much? Oh yeah, they laugh about the way I walk. Okay, and how does it feel? Well, I know that I walk a bit clumsy. Okay, yeah. So actually you have difficulty in accepting yourself with your clumsiness. Is that right? Yeah, okay. You see that the other one is only touching something that is, yeah, raw nerve in yourself, that is sensible in yourself, that is sensitive. You see that? So go into communication with your teenager. Yeah. Of course, I can imagine that some of the parents now maybe following this course think, oh yeah, but that's the exact thing they don't want. And now the question is, why don't they like communication? Well, but maybe because normally we are communicating with teenagers in a very harsh way, in a very judgmental way. Clean up your stuff, do this, you're always lazy. Well, if you hear you're always lazy and your parent only communicates in this manner, how would you then open your heart and feel trustworthy enough to talk to that parent? Of course, how I will never reveal my true feelings if the only thing I get from my parents is a criticism. Yeah. So my answer would be give as much as validation, recognition, unconditional love, and at the same time try to open up an open conversation and tell your vulnerabilities as well.
Yeah, yeah, very interesting. And listen, another very interesting kind of query kind of scenario that's come in is somebody who was kind of criticized quite cruelly and based on third-hand information. And their immediate response at the time was to kind of mirror that cruelness and unkindness in
Fighting?
response. Exactly, the kind of, so they're kind of asking what's, and you've partly, I think, addressed this already, but again, no harm to reiterate it. What would you suggest is the best response? Because certainly in a case like that where somebody is being deliberately cruel,
First of all, if you're fighting back and you mirror back, okay, first of all, zoom out, I count to 10, I come back, and okay, if you're not able to do this, if you were not able to zoom out and you were mirroring the behavior of the other person and just doing the same demeanor as the other one did, then you could just suddenly, you're again in your neocortex, and you could say, whoa, Mark, what am I doing?
Mm-hmm.
I'm attacking you. To be honest, I felt attacked by you, and I'm doing the exact thing. That's not how I want to be. I did not feel understood. So can we talk about it? And the quarrel, the fight stops if you say that you are in a quarrel. Are you aware, Mark, that we are judging each other, reproaching things? Are you aware that the volume of the last 5 minutes has increased tremendously, that we are shouting to each other? Are you aware of that? That's not what I would like. So please, can we maybe just have a timeout and come back to it? The best day. What is the best day, Mark, to plant a tree?
Best day to plant a tree. I'm
a philosophical question. Which is the best day? Tomorrow, today, yesterday?
Well, today, probably.
Today. Yesterday is gone. It's past.
Yeah.
And what is the second best day to plant a tree?
Well, tomorrow, if you can't get it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So even when you are mirroring the demeanor of the other person, from the moment you're aware of that, say, okay, I really hope that I was aware doing this differently 10 minutes ago. Apparently I was not. So now is the second best moment, and I apologize for my screaming. Don't expect that the other one will apologize. You cannot control the other. We all try to do our best to change our partner, to change the behavior of our children, of our colleagues. Were you successful? I don't think so. Yeah. How about trying to change yourself and to be less egocentric and to be less focused on that hurting the other one? Because this is what we believe at. The ego believes if the other one does something that we don't like, he deserves punishment. And therefore I will judge him and reproach him things. I will just mirror him. Because the thing I hear so many times in trainings and in workshops that I give is, yeah, but it has to come from both sides. Well, yeah, that would be wonderful. But which part of the two sides can you control? Your side. Yeah. You can't control the behavior of the other person.
Yeah, yeah. Very good. And listen, I'm just conscious of time, but we still have about 5-6 minutes to go. So if it's okay, I might just finish up on maybe one last question, and then I want to maybe put a quote to you that's come through to us to get your thoughts on it.
I also want to say that if people want to ask me more questions, feel free to send me an email. It's very easy. It's Frederik@IMBOORLING.be. Let me spell. The Frederik is, I think, on the screen because it's there, Frederik. And then @IMBOORLING is IMBOORLING.be. So feel free to send me an email, to contact me. And you could also rewatch the TED Talk or let it see to other people because it's on YouTube. We are on 7 million views at the moment, so makes me really proud and happy. So it's on YouTube, How Not to Take Things Personally. But sorry, Mark, to interrupt you.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant. And I think that's a very generous offer because I think that there's so much interest in this talk. And again, I just think it's such a real thing for people. So I'm absolutely sure that people will get in touch, possibly myself as well. But listen, just a question that's come through is somebody that's kind of used the COVID situation to kind of cull negative people out of their lives and to focus more on those that are actually, you know, supportive and so on. What's your view on that? I mean, it seems like a very good thing to do is just get rid of the negativity around you. Now that's not always possible, of course, in for example.
Exactly. In private, it's more possible. However, how many people are in a relationship that doesn't make them happy and do not talk about it? Yeah. But okay, let's say we have more control, or at least more the feeling that we have control over it. At work, you don't have any control. So again, there, choose your battles and accept the fact that people are sometimes in your allergy zone, and try to see what you want. Do you want to protect yourself and such, or would you like to speak up? Would you like to say to the other person, I do not know, but are you aware of the fact that if you come into a meeting, that the only thing you do is criticizing? And I have a need for more positiveness. So I just want to share this with you because it really hurts me sometimes. And I have tendency to hear from other colleagues as well that they find it very irritating sometimes. How is this for you? And then put yourself in a very vulnerable position by asking, how is this for you, hearing this? Because it's a statistical fact that 100% of the balls you don't kick will never make a goal. So if you want to increase the chance to make a goal, you should kick a ball and you should open up yourself. By not saying anything and play the victim, it will never help. And then for all the rest of that, try to look at yourself. If we know that we are, as adults, responsible ourselves for fulfilling our own needs, some questions. Do you sleep enough? Is what you eat healthy enough? Does it fulfill your needs? Are you doing things in your spare time that you really like? Do you have friends that give you energy or soak out the energy out of yourself? Are you creating good thoughts for yourself? Because what you eat becomes your future body. What you think becomes your future self. So all these tips are to check how more positive and self-fulfilling and self-confident and self-loving, which is a crucial thing, can be.
Brilliant, brilliant, excellent, excellent advice there again, Frederik. And listen, maybe just to finish it off, it's just a quote has come through here. Now it's come through from a person called Brian Levy, who possibly could be one of our just professors. But the quote is, "Nobody can make you feel inferior without your consent." What's your reflection on that quote?
It's a quote that I use in another production. Okay, this is what we do. We give keynote speeches, and so one of the presentations I'm giving is about sustainable happiness, and it's exact this quote. No one else can give you a feeling of inferiority without your own consent, and it's this. The water can only come into the ship when there is a leak, and if it resonates with yourself. So, and what I don't like about this quote, no, I do like the quote, but what I do not like about this quote is, I'm lacking here confidence. So yeah, no, I am confident. No. It doesn't work like that. It's better to say, yeah, it's true. I feel that I lack your confidence. I'm a bit unsure about myself. Yeah, to allow that, because if you allow it, if you accept it, then there are bigger chances that you can do something about it. The more people behave like in an ego way, like, yeah, you know, there's no problem and I'm okay, the less happy they are with themselves. Why otherwise would they have to pump up themselves? Yeah. So, but I like that quote very much, and I really would like to support it and encourage everyone to look at himself and to not give you any consent to let you down or to bring you down.
Brilliant, brilliant. Well, listen, Frederik, that's a great way to finish this session. And I just want to send apologies because there was a few queries and questions that I just couldn't get to. There's so many that came through. So again, as you said, you've made yourself available for maybe follow-up questions.
Absolutely. And even if people listen, this is COVID. Normally, I'm training full day. Okay, I really love to share my ideas, and if people really would like to or answer their question by mail, or they would like to go into conversation with me via a Zoom call, I'm open to do that.
Brilliant, brilliant. The
email address is put it by my colleague Wouter in the chat. So if you want to copy paste it, feel free to do that.
Brilliant, brilliant, excellent. Well, listen, thanks a million. So again, just to wrap up, I'd like to thank again, Frederik, for the time taken to give us. Again, it's a really insightful, interesting talk. Again, I think there's a lot of food for thought that people are going to take away from this session in their own lives, because again, this is just such a real thing for everybody. But listen, so again, thanks for your session. Just to flag that in terms of Get Digital, obviously this will continue for the rest of the day. So it's been a pretty packed week, and it will continue to be a packed day today. The next session is coming up very, very shortly at 10:30. That will feature Dara Doyle, who's communications lead at EPIC, the Irish Immigration Museum, and Rebecca Humphrey, social media lead at EPIC, again, the Irish Immigration Museum. My final thanks to Frederik, and listen, thanks to everybody that was on the session today, and thanks for your engagement with the questions. So have a good day and enjoy the rest.
Have a good day, everyone, and thank you for your attention, giving me the platform to share these ideas.
Brilliant, and thanks again,
Bye-bye.
Frederik. Cheers, bye-bye, everybody.